I think that I proved to myself like how far I was willing to go. Like before it was over, like had he not put me down with that shot, I would have just kept going. Like my entire face would have, probably been even more mangled than it was. I wasn't going to give up. And to obviously it hurt after emotionally and physically, but um I rose up from it because I was able to um I went through the fire, and I think, going through the fire really builds character. Especially when you know that, like, I knew that I gave my best, and I knew that, like, not one moment in that fight was I ever discouraged or wanted to quit. So it just helped me kind of uh have some pride and, just like this inner gym, like I just like I got this like this like rock of, gold, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, like I can store that, and I can hold on to that for myself, for no one else but for myself. So yeah.
All right, Khalil Rountree is here, one half of the main event of UFC Baku this Saturday against former champion Jamahal Hill. Khalil, good to see you, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Another big fight for you. A little bit of a journey to get here, but it's fight week. You're in Baku. You're in Azerbaijan. How is this fight week compared to others you've had, especially competing in your second consecutive main event?
This fight week, well, for one, I mean, Baku is an amazing, beautiful place. The fans here are absolutely excited to have UFC here. I have met so many different people that, yeah, that are just fired up. So it just makes the fight week so much better to see that, the entire city is buzzing and excited for Saturday night. Yeah. And I mean, it's beautiful here. It's very beautiful.
Did you expect the buzz to be this big? Because I know the UFC likes to go to different places. They want to travel the globe. They want to try to hit everywhere. But Baku, I think, kind of threw some people off a little bit, kind of caught some people by surprise. But are you surprised by how much buzz there is with the fan base in that area since you got here?
Yeah, yeah, very surprised. The fans are just excited to have UFC as a whole, not even just the fighters. I mean, my coaches were getting off the plane doing face off with fans and stuff, and like they're just, like, and I wasn't even there. You know what I mean? So, it's you can hear it through the streets. You can see the energy through the city. They're absolutely fired up.
I remember speaking to you in New York City at Fanatics Fest right after the UFC announced that you were going to be fighting Alex Pereira for the belt. And you were a bit surprised, but obviously you're not going to say no to that opportunity. And maybe some of the fans were a little bit down on it because of the sort of surprise of it all. But you wanted to prove that you belonged in that spot. And boy, did you in that performance. And while you may not have left Salt Lake City with the belt, I feel like you won in a lot of other ways. Is that fair to say? Is that what you took away from this fight?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. First time in my life, I would have never imagined, that outcome, of a loss. It was great. It was really the chance. I didn't come home with the belt, but I came home with, uh, just countless fans and respect from fans around the world. And that to me, it meant a lot, and it means a lot. And yeah, it was, even to this day, it's very surprising that, the amount of fans around the world that were touched by that fight. So it's good. It's very good.
Yeah, I mean, you've been around the sport a long time. Moral victories are really hard to come by, but considering how
Yeah.
you performed and how great this fight was, your toughness, like you said, the experience you gained from this, and just the way the fans reacted in the aftermath. I mean, I think you proved a lot of people wrong as well. Those who were like, "Oh, why is he getting the shot?" They're now sort of in your corner. So I think you found multiple moral victories in that
Yeah,
fight.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, multiple moral victories. I think that it allowed me to, um experience, the 5 round fight for a title against a guy like Alex. So experience was really the main takeaway in that fight. What an incredible experience, and I learned from it, and just realized like, okay, like I got there, fell a little bit short. I got there. I know what it feels like. And it motivated me to just continue to work hard.
Experience in a fight like that encompasses a lot of different things. So if you could sort of like narrow it down to the thing you learned most specifically in that fight, what would you say it was?
Um, I think that I proved to myself like how far I was willing to go. Like before it was over, like had he not put me down with that shot, I would have just kept going. Like my entire face would have, probably been even more mangled than it was. I wasn't going to give up. And to obviously it hurt after emotionally and physically, but um, I rose up from it because I was able to um, I went through the fire, and I think, going through the fire really builds character. Especially when you know that, like, I knew that I gave my best, and I knew that, like, not one moment in that fight was I ever discouraged or wanted to quit. So it just helped me kind of have some pride and, just like this inner gym, like I just like I got this like this like rock of, gold, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, like I can store that, and I can hold on to that for myself, for no one else but for myself. So yeah.
And now you can take that rock into the octagon against Jamahal Hill. And obviously, this is a tough out for anybody in this division, a former world champion. And now he's coming into a fight on a 2 fight losing streak, which in many people's eyes makes him even more dangerous in a fight like this. And when this fight was originally booked and then it was postponed, this was very important to you to keep this booking after that delay. Why was this so important for you to sort of wait for Jamahal Hill? I mean, I think if something else popped along and Jamahal is going to be on an extended period of time, you would have jumped on the other opportunity, but you really wanted this fight. Why is that?
Um, yeah, I think that I mean, it only made sense because this is the fight that I was already preparing for. There's a lot that goes into preparing for a fight, especially when you have an opponent locked in. And I think that, it a win over Jamal Hill just kind of solidifies, that I still belong up here. And yeah, I thought that there wasn't too much thought into it. It was just like, hey, like, let's keep things as they are. I don't mind waiting a little bit more. We've already prepared for this guy, so let's just give it a little bit more time, and everything will work out.
Yeah, this is one of those rare circumstances where waiting might have actually paid off for you because we don't know what is going on in this title picture right now. We don't know if Alex is going to get a rematch against Magomed Ankalaev. Magomed keeps saying that he's been offered a bunch of opponents and everyone's turning him down. So the stakes are actually much higher in this fight than most people think, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I think so. But I try not to pay attention to, a lot of the riffraff and what's going on in the division. I think that I've got a I've got a fight to focus on in front of me, and once this one's done, then I get to kind of think about what's next, and you know who uh, who I'll be gunning for.
Jamal has been saying kind of since the Alex fight, and he's been saying it recently as well. He has a lot of respect for you. He appreciates your toughness, the way you hit people and how they react to it, your heart, your determination, but skill for skill, he doesn't think that you're on his level. That's something he continues to say. So I'm curious what your reaction is to that. Do you think this is gamesmanship from him, or do you feel like it's hard to get into his head, but do you really feel that he thinks this way?
I think yeah, he thinks this way. I mean, if I recall correctly, he said the same thing about Alex, and he said the same thing about Yuri. Um, and it just didn't match. Like what was said just didn't match. So I just try not to pay too much attention to it. I think that for me, the priority is making sure that I'm at my best when that cage closes and the ref looks over and asks me if I'm ready. And I would say with conviction, yes. And everything else after that is is the way that it's supposed to be. So yeah, I think if I were to think about it, yeah, I think he truly does believe that that he is more skilled. But like I said, I've heard it before, and I'm prepared for the best version of Jamal Hill.
Last thing I want to ask you about is, especially coming out of this fight with Alex, and the way you battled the heart and the bloody fight that was, and how you grew your fan base. It sort of reminded me of another fighter who is about to make the walk for the final time. Dustin Poirier is about to walk to the cage one last time to fight Max Holloway, and then he's going to call it a career. I'm curious your thoughts on that. If there's a favorite Dustin Poirier fight that you go back and watch, and just what you thought of him as a UFC fighter and a guy who won interim gold and challenged for titles throughout his career.
I love Dustin Poirier. It's always been nothing but positive vibes when I run into him, during fight weeks. If we message on Instagram or something, it's always positive. The guy has the heart of a champion. He's really got a golden heart. He's an amazing person. I think, he does a lot for the community. He seems like an amazing father. He's put on nothing but entertaining fights for us. I couldn't be more happy for him to go in there and fight his last time, but he's left us with a lot of fights. We can go back and look at every single Dustin Poirier fight, and I don't think that any of us can name one fight that we're like, that was boring. He's an absolute legend. I would consider him a Hall of Famer. So nothing but like love and respect for for him, and I know that he's going to go out there against Max Holloway, who's also just as tough and just as exciting. We're gonna have it's going to be an exciting day for UFC fans around the world.